By saying thank you for coming this afternoon. My name is Vincent Sylvan, and I have the pleasure of serving as the moderator for this afternoon's community meeting. As you are aware, this meeting is a promise, a commitment that Mayor Landrieu made when he ran for office, that he would change the budgeting process and identify means of getting the citizens more directly involved in that procedure. As was the case last year, as the administration moved towards budgeting for outcomes, the citizens' recommendations were welcome and were inputted into the final budget presentation. Tonight, we will begin with some comments and overflow by Deputy Mayor Judy Reese Morris, who is also Chief of Staff. And she's going to give an official welcome and presentation of the BFO process. And she also lives on this side of the river, so let's give her a hand.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Vincent. We're really, really happy to be here in District C. I'm not going to say that this is the best bank. I'm not going to say that District C is the best district of all the districts, because that would be taking advantage of the situation. But I am going to say that we're so glad to be here this evening, and this is a fantastic turnout. Really, really terrific turnout. Thank you for joining us again this year to talk about the budget, your budget, really. I want to say a few words and take just a few minutes to talk about citizen engagement, which is really what this is all about. This is one of our top priorities. Citizen engagement, extremely important to Mayor Landrieu. We understand how important it is to get feedback from you on the work that we do every day. And since we saw you last year, we have had numerous meetings across the city. We've had focus groups, we've had information sessions. We've done a lot to meet with you on all kinds of projects, important areas like economic development, like blight, and like the city's infrastructure. We've also created a neighborhood engagement office that works with neighborhood association leaders and citizens to provide information, to promote idea sharing, and to facilitate problem solving. And I don't know if anyone here has had an opportunity to meet with any of our liaisons, but we will make sure that you know how to contact them, because this is another excellent way to work with us in order to better serve you as the citizens of the city. I'm really happy to tell you that the City of New Orleans is becoming a best practice in the area of citizen engagement, and we look forward to increasing our interaction with you in the future. Now, there's another reason why citizen engagement is so important. It can lead to great partnerships, the kind that are necessary to transform a city. When city government and citizens work together, we truly believe that anything is possible. And so we're here together this evening to focus on the partnership that we have with you around the budget. That partnership includes getting your input on the projects and services that you think your tax dollars should support. The internal process that we have used to develop the budget is called BFO, or Budgeting for Outcomes. The process is simple. We match dollars with priorities to build the city's budget. We've identified 6 priority areas. They are public safety, children and families, economic development, sustainable communities, open and effective government, and innovation. There's lots of work that can be done in these 6 areas, so this is why your comments and your ideas will help us to determine what should be included in next year's budget. Once we've settled on the priorities, with your input, they are ranked and funded until the amount budgeted for each priority area runs out. We then identify performance measures to be sure we achieve outcomes on time and on or under budget. Finally, we submit the budget to the City Council for consideration and approval. This is another opportunity for you to give your input on budget priorities. The final result is the 2012 budget. As a part of this process, we've also created a vision statement, a mission statement, and core values that we strive for every day at City Hall. These are on the city's website if you're interested in learning more about what guides our work every day. Again, thank you so much for being here this evening. And now I'd like to introduce the city's first Deputy Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer, Andy Copeland, who will spend a few minutes talking about the city's accountability report and why it should matter to you. Please join me in welcoming Andy Copeland.
Am I introducing this? Good evening. It's great to be back in Algiers for a town meeting, and we're excited about round 2 of community engagement around the city's budget, this time for budget year 2012. So last year, we took detailed notes. We listened to what everybody told us across the city, and the mayor directed us to build a budget that reflected those priorities. So we emphasized the things that we heard about: street lights, potholes, catch basin cleanings, making sure that when we interacted with you, we treated you all like customers and were as efficient as we could possibly be. Now, we know that we haven't fixed every problem in city government at this point, but we're making great progress, and the team of department heads and leaders and all of the city employees who work for them are doing a great job making progress towards our goals, and we are measuring everything we do. And so this report we have now produced 2 editions of. It's called Results NOLA. And basically what it says is, from the budget book, these are the things that we asked the council based on your priorities to fund. The council worked really closely with us, showed great leadership, and said, we're going to give you these resources and we expect these outcomes. And we're going to measure our progress against that goal for each of our expenditure items. So there's like 150 different things we measure. And we've talked in the city about measuring our goals and whether we're making progress, but it hasn't been done on a consistent basis. This mayor has directed us to do it on a consistent basis, and so we say, this is what we set out to do, this is what we did. Are we on target? Are we not on target? If we're not on target, what are we doing to fix it? So we'll talk about a great example. We are knocking it out on blight inspections. Our inspectors have done about 14,000 inspections. They're 50% above their goal, and we're doing the things that we need to do. On the other hand, hearings for blight, we're below our target. It turns out that noticing people, preparing the case for a public hearing takes a lot longer than was budgeted for. So we are throwing all kinds of resources at it. We're solving the problem. We're taking inspectors who are ahead of their target and moving them over to help on hearings. We're asking the Bar Association across the city to dive in with us. Because we have measured whether we're making progress, we now know how to correct our course. And so you see this throughout this document. It's on the mayor's website. It's called Results NOLA, but you can judge whether we're making progress in each of these areas. So DWI arrests are up 22% from last year because of aggressive checkpoints. We've raised over $7 million in outside philanthropy because the mayor and his leadership team have traveled the country asking for folks to invest in our city to make sure that we make the improvements that we're looking for. We doubled teen programs, both in terms of summer jobs, and we created a brand new opportunity through teen camps as part of last year's budget because we heard from you that teenagers were not having the opportunities either for productive work or productive play to keep them off the streets in the summertime, and so we initiated that and hit our goals. We are also making sure that we are hitting all of our marks in terms of potholes, and so we're trying to make sure that we get the thousands of potholes filled and that we're measuring performance. So that's the process that we're using to be transparent, to tell you this is what you paid for and this is what we're doing, and where we're hitting our marks, we're raising the bar. Where we're not hitting our marks, we're course correcting, and every year, every quarter, we're going to give you this information. And so it starts tonight with you all giving us your feedback in terms of whether we're hitting those marks in your area, whether we're meeting the priorities that you've described as are important to you in this district. And then as we go through with the council over the next 4 months, we're going to build a budget that reflects the city's priorities, and then we're going to manage towards the outcomes that you all expect us to achieve. And again, we're focused on results. Everything is about the results that are in this book, and that's what all of the department heads are putting their time and energy because they understand that the mayor is holding all of us accountable for these results for which we've made those commitments to you all. So thank you very much again for coming out. We look forward to getting your feedback tonight, and it is my honor and privilege to announce and introduce the terrific District C Council member, Kristen Gisselson-Palmer, who is a great partner of the mayor and our team, and a great leader for your district, and we're proud to be in your district tonight and look forward to hearing from you.
Can they get that online?
Yes, it's on the mayor's website.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
That way you can bring the mayor on. My apologies, but let me go ahead and give you the ground rules before she speaks, and that way she can bring the mayor up. As most of you remember, as was the case last year, the mayor will give a presentation that's going to last approximately about 30-35 minutes. Following that presentation, you will have an opportunity to ask him some questions directly. He will sit, as has been the case, take notes, and then respond at the end of the night. So we wanted you to understand that. The process we're going to use is these cards have been issued or passed out when you came into the door. If you have questions, suggestions, or recommendation, we ask that you fill those out and give those to the runners. Thank you very much. Council member. You will have 2 minutes in which to speak. At roughly 30 seconds remaining, you will hear a comment from me asking you to bring your comments to a close. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to be very brief. I'm just here first to welcome all of the city to, I can say, the best district in New Orleans, and I can say the best bank. So I just want to welcome all of you here. I also want to especially welcome everyone who's sitting in the gym who's participating, because the real important thing about tonight is the community participation piece. We all know that's the only reason that this city was rebuilt, was because of citizen participation and because of what happened at the grassroots level and at the community level and at the street level. And that's because of all of you sitting in this room. This is also going to be the only way that we continue to move the city forward. Yes, we have made a lot of progress this year. It's been incredibly rewarding to work with this team to my left and to this team in front of me, but we also have a very long way to go. And we can only stay on track if we are held accountable. And that is truly why I applaud the mayor for doing this again. I remember when we met here last year, and the fact that we're going to meet here this year and next year and the year after to make sure that we're continuing to put the money where it belongs and to continue to move our city forward. And I just want to reiterate 2 very important words that were said earlier at the opening, that your comments are going to be ranked and then funded. So it's very important for all of you to let your voices be heard. It's very important for the people of Algiers to say what our priorities are and where we feel we need to put the money in the budget. And that's really truly why we're here, and that's why I'm going to be brief, because we don't need to hear me speak. We need to hear you speak so that we know, as the mayor likes to say, and I firmly believe that our budget is a moral document. So where do we want to put our money? With our children, with our streets, and that's something that all of you need to help us decide. So again, thank you all for being here. I look forward to fully participating. My staff is also here, and we will be here till the end if you have any other questions. And with that, I would like to welcome and introduce our favorite mayor, Mayor Landrieu.
Testing, this work? Thank you, Kristen, thank you so much. She's fantastic. Let me just tell you, she has been an incredible partner. Shows up at work early, stays late, is very, very engaged, and is always completely in touch with what's going on across the district. Now, District C is a big district. It spans both sides of the river. And Kristen, I just want to tell you publicly, I really appreciate it. And y'all, y'all did a good job sending her. Give her a round of applause. Thank you. We have a number of different elected officials. I want to make sure we recognize them. Sheriff Marlon Guzman. Marlon, thank you so much for coming. It's great to see you. Thank you very much. I know that Councilmember Clarkson if she's not here. Elaine, are you with us? Where are you? She's going to be here about 6:30, so I'll recognize her when she comes. And of course, as I promised to you, because you told me you wanted us to do this, you wanted us to be accessible. And so for the second year in a row, I brought the entirety of city government here to see you, and anybody that's got anything to do with delivering services to you, whether it's Entergy, the Regional Transit Authority, the Aviation Board, if it even comes close to a public service, they're here. All of the deputy mayors are here. The police chief is here. The police commander from this district is here, and all of the department heads in city government. So would you all please stand up so that they can see you? All right, thank you all. Now, they're here for a couple different reasons. The most important thing is to listen to you, right? Not only say what it is that you want, but I'm sure some of you are going to have some constructive suggestions, and to hear that. And then finally, after you have a chance to speak, and I hope that all of you, everybody around the city has been great. If you can respect the 2-minute time limit, it'll give everybody in the room the opportunity to speak that piece. If you go over, you're going to limit the amount of participation. So I thank you for that in advance, and I thank you for last year because it's just been great. But at the end of it, when you guys tell us what you want to tell us, I'm going to write down everything that you say, and then when everybody's finished, I'm going to give you a response of some sort. It will be, yes, I know what you're talking about, this is the answer, or I don't really know, I'm going to find out for you, or I'm not the person, I want you to talk to my streets guy. Or I want you to talk to my health person, or I want you to talk to the police, or I want you to talk to it, and the staff member sitting next to me will direct you to that person. I assure you, whatever it is that your concern is, you can tell me, but it's much better to tell them. Because what I do after we leave here is say, did you get that, and can we take care of it, and did you do it? All right, so that's the way, if it works for you guys, that's what I would like you to do. Now, just a couple of comments. I'm not going to speak for 30 minutes. Thank you. Ms. Barbara said, hell no. I'm sorry, she said no. I'll put the hell in there. I'm not going to speak for 30 minutes, but I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just walking through a couple of things. First of all, last year, we set about to do these things. They were great exercises. I remember being in this room, standing in this very place, and I see some of you who were here that I'm sure are going to talk to me about some of the things you wanted to talk about last year. But as a consequence of this meeting and the other 7, what I heard the people of New Orleans say collectively, aside from I want a specific pothole filled on my street or a specific issue, was, look, Mr. Mayor, there are a couple of things that we want the city to focus on. First of all, we're not sure the government's honest. The whole procurement system is upside down. We don't know how people are getting contracts. Is it based on who you know rather than what you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was one thing. And so one of the things we did, just through executive order, is completely change the procurement process. So now it's one of the best practices where that's really kind of taken out of the mayor's hands. Teams grade them, look at them. 99.9% of the time, the people that get the top scores are able to get the finances that are necessary to do the things that the citizen needs. The second thing you said was government, it's not working real well. We don't know who to talk to, so we created the deputy mayor system to make these individuals directly accountable because the management structure was wrong. You said, look, we're wasting money. There's waste, there's fraud, there's abuse, there's inefficiency. We kind of got after that. And then you said to me, look, there's some specific things that immediately are not happening that's making the quality of life really bad. Number one, we don't feel safe. So we did a national search. Chief Surpass is the result of that. We asked DOJ to come in, the Department of Justice, because we know we have a lot of good men and women in the police department, but you know what? The police department lost their way. And I think that's clear to everybody who cares to know what's going on. And so we are going to reorganize and revamp the police department with the participation of the Department of Justice that has been in town every day since the day that we got in office. That is going to result in a document called the consent decree that a federal judge is going to sign, and then we are going to be obligated in partnership with the police department and a lot of other partners to get that department moving in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, what that means is there's going to be a greater opportunity for the streets to be safe. But you all know, and I know, just the police alone can't make the streets safe. You guys said we got to do something with our kids. We got to give them something to do. We had a nice discussion in this room, as you remember, with Jackie Clarkson sitting right here, where I recalled after she spoke that she must have worn a pink tutu when she was a little girl, right? And that Jackie Clarkson started off in NARD when she was a baby. And we talked about how important that was. And so as a result of that conversation, the mayor proposed to the council, and the council said, yes, we doubled NARD's budget like that. And this summer, I want you to know that we spent your money, and we can show you where every dollar went. Last year, we had 8 pools open. This year, we had 12. When I walked in here today, the ladies are outside doing water aerobics in that beautiful 75-foot pool, a gorgeous pool, doing a great job. We opened 12 of those pools. Last year, we didn't have any camps for teenagers, right? Because this is related to crime. If our teams are kind of hanging out on the corner and they're not doing something constructive, they're doing something we don't want them to do. This year, we had 17 camps. 17 camps, all right? We also said, look, we got to put them to work. Last year, we had 1,000 jobs. This year, we put 3,000 teenagers to work. Last year, nobody learned how to swim in the city. This year, 88,000 people touched a lifeguard in partnership with the Red Cross to learn how to swim. So you told me you wanted, we said, okay, we put the money in, we delivered, and we can show you the progress. You also told me I want street lights fixed, I want potholes filled, right? And I want blight dealt with. And so I just want to just give you some general numbers. As it relates to blight, I put my team to work. We got 48 to 60,000 blighted properties. I said, my mother knows I'm impatient. How many of those things can we fix right now? And they came back and said, don't go get fancy pants. If we brought the best people in the world here, we think we can do 10,000, either by taking them down, renovating them, getting them back into commerce in 3 years. So I put my team to work, and we're measuring this so we know whether we're doing well or we're doing poorly. In 2009, the year before we got here, 170 properties were demolished citywide, 107. In the first 6 months of this year, our first year, with our hands on the wheel, we demolished 733 blighted properties in the city. On code enforcement, no inspections for the most part. This year, 3,609 inspections have been conducted in the first 6 or 7 months. Every week, we have a blight stat meeting. So we're on this, as they would say on Priya Street, where I'm from, like gravy on rice. All right? Now, on recreation, I told you about that. On infrastructure, you see this happening, but maybe you don't notice it anymore. $70 million is being spent right now, as you speak, on the Algiers Regional Library, Berman installing pools, Berman, Brechtel, and Armstrong Park, Hunters Field, the St. Roch Market, and Cutoff. We have filled 2,321 potholes in the first 7 months in District C, in your district. 633 street lights have been repaired and 101 catch basins have been cleaned. How do we know that? When we came into office, we didn't even know how many pieces of property the city owned or how many cars they owned. So I set them out and said, go find out what we own. Go find out what we have, and then go tell me what it is that we need to do. So when people say how many street lights, I want to be able to count them for them. And so you can come back to me and say, look, this is what my money bought last year. And if you did that many, what will it buy next year? And then every year, as our systems get better, our capacity to do more will get greater, and then we'll be able to deliver the services to you. Now, at some point in time, we're going to catch up. It's going to be a long time because Kristen's right. We have a very, very long way to go. But it's very important for you to be able to tell us, this is what you want, us to say we're going to do it, and then for us to be accountable to you and show you. A couple of more things. On construction projects, over 7 miles of street repairs and reconstruction and streetscapes have been done. There are 12 projects that are currently moving. Whitney Avenue, LaBeouf, Miro Street, St. Roch, Berkeley Drive, Opelousas Street Extension, and then we have future projects that are about to go out to bid that all of you will be aware of. General Meyer, Holiday, Claiborne Avenue, and some others, all right? There's a lot of big stuff happening. You can see it right now. I know you all can feel it as you drive up and down General de Gaulle and other areas. You know, General Mize is here. General, it's good to see you. Federal City, cut the ribbon on that. Thank you very much. Major project, right? Landry School. So you can see it happening. But Kristen is absolutely right. Nobody in this administration is feeling good about where we are. We feel good about how we did in the first 6 months, but ladies and gentlemen, we know, and we know you know, that we have a very, very, very long way to go. But I can assure you that budgets are not only moral documents, they're supposed to be maps that we follow, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of surprises. But if you don't show up at the budget hearings, or you don't say what you want, or you don't say how intently it's important than somebody else, it's a zero-sum game, because there's only so much money. And I'm going to end with this, and then I'm going to sit down and listen to everything that you all have to tell me, and then try to respond to them. I want you to not be unaware of the financial crisis that the world is in, because we're part of a global economy. And what happens in China, and what happens in India, what happens in Great Britain, what happens in Ireland, what happens in Greece, has an impact on us. As this debate in Washington goes on about whether to spend money or whether to cut, whether to raise the debt ceiling or not, whether or not, as a result of whatever they do, all of our measures are going to get downgraded, all of that has a financial consequence. And I can assure you, or at least this is my best guess for whoever it's worth, is that in the next 5, 10, 15 years, certainly in the immediate future, I call that 10, the economy is going to get smaller, and governments are going to be forced to get smaller as well. And that means that when the federal government decides they're going to start spending less, whether you think that's a good decision or not, I can assure you the consequence is going to be, if they spend less, we're going to get less. Because there's a huge amount of federal money that comes into the city of New Orleans. Federal City is a perfect example. Dredging the Mississippi, coastal restoration, all of the major road projects have federal dollars in them. So to the extent that Washington contracts, they push pressure on the state, and the state contracts, it all comes down to the local government, and local government contracts. And so government's got to get smaller, it has to get faster, it has to get more effective, it has to get leaner, and we have to find other partners if we want to do as much as we're doing now. And the likelihood is that we're not going to be able to do everything that we want. And it means that those things that are in line right now, we have to find a solution for. So we have a bunch of them in the city, and I want you just to be aware of them, because sometimes the answer has to be, no, we can't do that, unless we find a new way to get more money, either through savings or through other measures that you think are important. But we are in the business right now of making this government smaller, faster, more efficient, more effective, leaner, and trying to do more with less. That's what this team is charged with doing, because that's the reality, at least that I see. If someone doesn't see it and can convince us that it's going to be a little bit looser than that going forward, that's great. But at the end of the day, we can't waste a dollar. And when we make decisions, we have to make decisions that help and lay the foundation for time as it goes by. So with that, Jackie Clarkson came in. Jackie, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you. Jackie is a great supporter. No, you're not late. You're right on time to hear what everybody has to say. With that, what I want to do is open it up. Again, what I'd like to ask you to do is to be respectful of each other, to be thoughtful, to give us constructive information. We love passion, but constructive passion is better than just passion. And again, if you would honor the time limit of 2 minutes, it would be great, because I really would like the chance for everybody who wants to speak to be able to speak, and I'd like to be able to try to find a way to answer each of your questions. So with that, God bless you. Thank you all so much for being here, and I'd like to get into the statement portion of the meeting. Thank you so much.